So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Pesticides Management in Agriculture. So my name is Vibha Bhatia and I'll be your moderator. I work with AgroVision Foundation team and I'm excited to be hosting this session today. So this informative webinar is organized by AgroVision Foundation and AgroSpectrum. So as we all know that agriculture in India has gone through great changes in the second half of the 20th century. Use of high yield varieties, intensive agriculture practices, high doses of fertilizers and chemical pesticides brought concept of modernization in agriculture. As we all know that India is the fourth largest producer of agrochemicals globally after United States, Japan and China. The agrochemical industry is a significant industry for the Indian economy. So India, due to its inherent strength, low cost manufacturing and qualified low cost manpower, is a net exporter of pesticides to countries such as USA and some more European and African countries. Chemical pesticides are widely being used in agriculture and in public health for the control of pest and disease vector. However, misuse of the pesticides, improper spraying of chemicals by the farmers has created a shock in society. The impacts on environment, human being and animals also cannot be denied. So using pesticide and chemical fertilizers are necessary for rising needs of our goods, food. However, life of farmer, health of human beings, animals and environment cannot be ignored. Our
Connections.
Honorable Prime Minister emphasizes the growth of healthy crop with the least possible disruption to agro ecosystem and stimulate natural pest control mechanism. Request all panelists to mute themselves. So keeping this in view, this informative webinar will highlight the expert's perspective on pesticide management in agriculture. So before we get started, just a little announcement. I have already posted it in the chat window. If you have any questions during the session, please type them in the question and answer window, and we will be answering questions at the end of the session. And if we don't get to your question in today's webinar, we will be sure to follow up afterward. So now I would like to kick things off by welcoming our AgroVision team. From AgroVision Foundation, we have Dr. C.D. Mai. He's a chairman, AgroVision Advisory Committee. Mr. Ravi Baratkar, President, AgroVision Foundation, and publishers AgroSpectrum and New Food Spectrum. We have a distinguished panel, which in fundamental sense needs no introduction. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome our distinguished panelists. We have with us today Dr. Hari Chand Sharma, former Vice Chancellor of Dr. Y.S. Parmar University of Horticulture and Forestry. Mr. Mukesh Shukla, Campaign Manager, Central India, Syngenta India Limited. Mr. Sanjay Watts, Vice President, Insecticides India Limited. Dr. M.N. Bhatt, Principal Scientist, National Center for Integrated Pest Management. And Mr. Pradeep Dave, he is the President of Pesticides Manufacturers and Formulators Association of India, and he's a Chairman of EMCO Pesticides Limited. So now I would like to request Dr. C.D. Mai for his opening remarks. Dr. Mai. Dr. Mai, you'll need to unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Are you able to hear now?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
I welcome on behalf of AgroVision Foundation all the panelists. And I think personally, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Bhatt, Dr. Dave, I welcome all of them. And I think we have a wonderful panel because pesticides, by and large, must have seen. I think in this COVID period, the maximum thing which has occurred is about agriculture. Everybody talks about reforms in agriculture. Everybody thinks that this is the only sector which has really helped people in India. But simultaneously, we find that there are two major sort of hustles which have come on the way is about pesticides. One is what is called as a PMB, that is Pesticide Management Bill. In the beginning of our lockdown, the Pesticide Management Bill was introduced in Rajya Sabha. And subsequently, in the middle of these lockdown, we had what we call it as 27 pesticides banning order has come. So as you all see, because we have both the sides in pesticide, people think that some people extremely think that they are very bad. Some people think that without pesticide, we cannot really go ahead. Agriculture overall, let me tell you, as a pathologist, it has definitely benefited from the pesticide use in the country. If you talk about green revolution, if you talk about yellow revolution, if we are, these pesticides have played a very significant role. But by and large, what is happening is there has been a lot of mismanagement of pesticide use. Now we are talking about, I have written an article very recently on drone use, because now if suppose there is an attack of locust, we cannot all of a sudden think of anything else, but it comes to our mind that we must use what we have is a good pesticide issue. And now the application technology needs really an attention, because a lot of cases have which has occurred in the past is basically because of misapplication technologies. So pesticide by and large may be very useful, but what is now to be done if at all we have to improve? We know that they are needed, but once they are needed, how best we can use them? I think the panel which we have now today is a very competent panel, because pesticide in India is very important domestically also, and it is also for the export purposes, and it is the industry which is really helping them to have more and more export oriented. So by and large, what I feel is that when you have seen pesticide in agriculture as a very broad topic, I think in future we have to see that where are our lacunae, where we can improve upon, so that pesticides are target oriented, application can occur, and it will give maximum benefit to the farmers, because farmers without pesticide will not go. If you see herbicide, for example, has become almost a necessity because of labor issues, and now lots of migration of labor is going to really create more problem. So we have all these things to be there, and I'm sure that the panel which we have is a very competent panel. I would request Vibha to kindly continue once again on behalf of Agrovision Foundation. My colleague, unfortunately, Boratkar could not join. Ravi Boratkar could not join, but I, on his behalf also, I welcome all of you. Kindly continue the panel. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mai, for your opening remarks. So I'll start this discussion with Dr. H.C. Sharma. Dr. Sharma, you heard Dr. Mai that we really need pesticides for the growth of agriculture in India, and I'm sure otherwise also. So what, according to you, is the contribution of pesticides in the growth of agriculture, and what would be the future trend? So will there be like new pesticides introduced, or will there be alternative modes? What is the way ahead, and what development do you see?
Okay, can you listen to me?
Yes.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Yes. So, good morning to you all. Dr. C.D. Mai, the other co-panelists, the participants, and of course, nice to see Vibha.
Thank you.
Up a bit for the 19th at Hyderabad in November last year, where participants over a period of 5 days. And those probably not familiar, my background is that I had been entomologist at ICRISAT for 37 years. And during this period, I had been president of International Congress of Entomology for 2 terms, which is probably rare for an Asian. And I'm governing board member of the International Association of Plant Protection Sciences. And then, of course, I had a 1 term as a vice chancellor of the University of Horticulture. Now, coming to pesticides, I think we have as much alarm as much as we have the harm due to pesticide application in agriculture, but probably much more comes from the applications in the public health sector than from agriculture. If we just take a comparison, for comparison's sake, of course, all of us know these figures, is that we consume only about 0.29 kilograms of pesticides per hectare, compared to 11 kilograms in Japan and 13 kilograms in China. So I don't know what the issue is. But then we know the issue is there, and it's a serious one. And it's not because we use excessive amount of pesticides that we should ban them or we should curtail their use. Our problems are the farmers, we tend to apply the pesticide after the damage has been done by an insect or disease, or we apply it when there is no pest or disease. This is a major problem because that's lack of information, and the onus is on everybody, on the researchers, the universities, the extension workers, the pesticide industry, and of course, much more problem comes at the retailer's mind, where the farmers is in direct contact.
यानी व्हाट्सएप करो तो हाँ व्हाट्सएप कर दो तो मोबाइल पे ही चालू.
Could you
Hello.
please put yourself on mute? Sir? Yes, Dr. Sharma, please go ahead.
So the problem comes where we sell the pesticides is that when the farmers goes to the retailer, maybe he doesn't sell the pesticide or the product which the scientists have recommended. He often sells the product where he has the greater margin. So this is one major issue. And to tackle this issue, the pesticide application will had called for that, like in the pharmacy, where the drugs can only be sold by a person who has done a pharmacy course or a graduate in pharmacy. Similarly, we must ensure that the pesticides are sold only by the people who have a fairly good understanding of the pesticide toxicology, their bioefficacy, and then of course, an understanding of when to apply, how much to apply, and what to apply. So even though this has come in the pesticide application but it has been diluted that the university were asked to conduct a 52 weeks, because I also had that experience of one day class every Sunday and in 52 weeks, and then you give a kind of a certificate to the pesticide dealers that they are competent to sell it. I think we must avoid that part. We must say that it's only the agriculture graduates who should be there in every shop which sells the agricultural chemicals to give the right kind of advice to the farmers, because that's where the one of the major problems is. Then of course all of us are aware why farmers resort to over application of pesticides or repeated application, because the products are adulterated, and I'll say it loud and clear, and the onus is on the pesticide industry as much as it is on the what we call government agencies. We should monitor the pesticide quality and take appropriate action whenever there is an adulterated product in the market. It must be banned, and those who market that product, I think they must be punished as per the law of the land, and that's kind of a thing which is not happening actually properly. And then of course for us to apply it's not that we can avoid the use of pesticides in agriculture. For us to feed increasing what we call population, and then of course more emphasis on processed food products, we kind of need to develop our agricultural products. So in this context, we must strengthen our R&D, and of course the government must have clarity that one, in research and development, we must put but greater emphasis on developing varieties that have resistance to insects, diseases, and where we can then maximize the kind of efficiency of the pesticides. Two, we should not be, putting on hold the commercialization of transgenic crops simply by deregulating the transgenic cotton. There had been a nearly 60 to 70% reduction in pesticide use on cotton crop, and Dr. CDMI has generated a lot of data in this direction. And that has not only reduced the pesticide use, that has also increased the efficiency of pesticide application. So similarly, the government must be made clear that transgenic crops are much, there is no harm from the transgenic crops to the environment. A lot of noise is being made without doing any research, and not much research has been done on the biosafety of transgenic crops to the non-target organisms in the country. In fact, the only major effort that was carried out was by us at ICRISAT, and that too with a project that was sponsored by Switzerland. So the government of India must put greater resources on if there are any issues with the biosafety of transgenic crops. We must generate that data on the impact of transgenic crops on biodiversity. Actually, there is no impact of transgenic crops on biodiversity actually. They reduce the pesticide application and hence will save the biodiversity. As far as the question of our land races that the farmers used to cultivate are getting extinct, or there is less and less genetic diversity in the cultivars where the transgene is expressed, then we should be more flexible in deregulating the transgenic crops so that more and more diverse varieties with different genetic backgrounds for different agroecosystems so are developed, and then they are given to the farmer. So for us to minimize or rationalize the pesticide use, we must deregulate or commercialize the transgenic crops that we have. One example is, for example, BT brinjal, where the government couldn't go ahead with commercializing this crop, but simple answer is brinjal is sprayed every day or every alternate day. But if we deploy the transgenic brinjal, we might not even spray 5 or 6 times. So why not to do it? And of course, as far as the question of biosafety of BT to the human beings or higher mammals is concerned, for many pesticides where the LD50 is probably 1 milligram or less, the LD50 of BT is probably more than 5,000 milligrams per kg of body weight. So if we have to die by consuming the transgenic crops, we have to probably consume a quintal of transgenic cotton or brinjal plants, and that's not what we do actually. So these are a few hard facts that we must remember, and so these are a few. And as far as the chemistry is concerned, that we are deregulating certain pesticides, yes, if we have a proven data that there is a certain pesticide which is harmful in the ecosystem to a particular set of species, then actually we should take a considered decision. For example, imidacloprid has been linked with the kind of a decline in the honeybee population or the pollinators. Then it's not that we ban imidacloprid. We ban the application of imidacloprid in ecosystems where the honeybees or pollinators are very important, and we ban the aerial application of imidacloprid. On the other hand, seed dressing with imidacloprid is the most effective way of increasing plant stand, minimizing pest attack at the seedling stage where the crop is most vulnerable, and therefore, whatever pesticides we have in the list, one, we should check out where their application is harmful. So we ban that kind of application. And which mode of application is harmful? Is it the soil application or is the aerial spray? So whichever, and then of course, which crops. And another question is of the food security or saving our crops from the pest and disease attack. Which are those situations where we have those alternatives that we can ban a particular pesticide on a particular crop at a particular stage in a particular area. But then we say, but we have the alternatives. And one of the questions that was brought to my attention by one of the scientists that if you ban these pesticides, then we will depend more on pesticides import from China. And maybe that's the kind of thing we don't want to happen at this juncture. So therefore, my assessment would be that we phase out the application of a pesticide, ban it. Still, we have an alternative which is equally effective and is economic and of course is less disruptive to the environment. So these are some of my views on this aspect, and thank you very much, Viva and Dr. Mai, for giving me this opportunity and of course interacting with you. So go
Sure,
ahead.
sir. Sure, sir. So we already have a lot of questions coming up. So I'm sure we'll come back to you again asking more questions about this particular subject. So thank you for sharing your perspective. So now I can see Mr. Pradeep Dave. I'm glad to see you here, Mr. Dave. You had some technical difficulties in joining. So welcome to the session. So I would like to ask you, as an association, what initiatives are being taken to guide farmers on the use of pesticides so that they get, maximum yield, and they can be guided on the excessive use of pesticides? How are you reaching out to them as an association? What are your views?
The question to me?
No, for Mr. Dave.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm not in any association.
I was asking Mr. Dave.
Yeah, please go ahead. So
Mr. Dave, can you hear me? You can mute yourself. Mr. Dave, can you hear me? Mr. Dave? Okay, I think we have lost his audio. So I'll come to Mr. Sanjay Vats. Sir, you are the Vice President of Insecticides India. And it is observed that prescribed procedure to use pesticides is still not followed in India. And as you know, there were some deaths reported in cotton fields some time back. So most of the farmers had inadvertently inhaled pesticides while spraying on the crops. Maybe they were not taking precautions while spraying the crops, or they had not used the prescribed protection kit, eyeglasses, gloves, or masks. So as a company, are you organizing programs to educate farmers about the use of pesticides?
Yeah, Vibha, am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir.
Yeah. First of all, good morning to all the panelists and the viewers on this program. So first of all, I want to say thanks to you for organizing this type of webinar. So the question you have asked that what we are doing on the pesticide safety front with the farmers. As an industry, I'm in this industry from the last 35 years. And from day one, the day I joined the industry, that day itself, I have been told that we have to work with the farmer in their fields. And we have to tell them, we have to educate them regarding how to use pesticide, what is the right way to use the pesticide, what are the precautions farmer have to take while using the pesticides. So these are the basic jobs, this is the basic work which all of us have been doing from last so many years. I don't say government body or government extension departments are also doing the same thing, but as well as the industry is concerned, all the pesticide companies, whether they are multinationals or Indian companies, everybody is doing this job with the farmer from last so many years. But still, I should say, a lot of education is further required to take it forward. So number one here, what happened? The farmers have to be educated on the front of selecting a pesticide. That first of all, he has to select, he has to watch his field, he has to observe his field. At least, after every second day, third day, he has to visit the field and observe the problem which he is facing. Whether it's an insect problem or it's a herbicide, it's a weed problem or it's a fungus problem. And once he observed that problem, he has to go for the right solution. And sometimes farmers feel difficulty to identify the problem, that which insect is this or which weed is this, and what kind of solution I require for that. For that, the farmer easily can approach the companies, the extension department, because Government of India has also opened so many KVKs and centers where the very senior scientists used to sit, and they can also advise. So we used to propagate this. We used to conduct so many meetings with the farmers, and we used to educate them that the first of thing is that they have to identify their problem. What is the problem? And once they identify the problem, they have to go for the right solution. And once they finalize the right solution, right pesticide, then there are certain precautions they have to take while using the product. That whether they are using the product at the right time, whether they are using the product at the right dose, whether they are using proper water volume while using the pesticide, whether they are using the right kind of nozzle while using the pesticide. So these are four basic things which we used to educate the farmers. And for that, the journey is very long, because still 70% of our farmers are marginal farmers. They spend a lot of money on pesticides and other agri inputs, but the usage, something is lacking there, that the usage they are doing, sometimes they don't use the products properly, and that is the reason why they say the product is not giving proper results or something like that. So I feel a lot of education is required. Along with the safety, we are educating the farmers on all the fronts regarding how to use the pesticide, when to use the pesticide. And for different pesticide, if the farmer is using a fungicide, then farmer has to use the fungicide as a preventive. Before coming the disease, if the farmer is using fungicide, he will get better results. If he is using insecticides, then the ETL level he has to see in the field, that what is the ETL level when he is using the insecticide. And if he is using a herbicide, they have to see whether the leaf stage, 2 to 5 leaf stage, he has to use the herbicide. And the last thing I used to tell the farmers, that while selecting the nozzles, sometimes farmers used to select the same nozzle for insecticide and fungicide and herbicide. But here I want to tell that farmer have to use, for herbicide there are different nozzles. There is a flood jet and flood fan nozzles are for herbicide, and the hollow comb nozzles are used for fungicide and insecticide. Along with this, we used to educate farmers further that they have to see the wind velocity also. They have to spray the field in the morning or in the evening hours. Because in the afternoon, if they spray, the labor does not spray it properly. And ultimately, I used to conclude in this that farmer, along with the training, we used to tell farmers, we used to request farmers that they have to visit their fields at least twice in a week to observe the problems. And this is what I used to do. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your views here. So I believe I can see Mr. Pradeep Dave online now. Mr. Dave, can you hear me? Mr. Dave, can you hear me? Okay, so I'll now come to Dr. Bhatt. Dr. Bhatt, you are working with National Center for Integrated Pest Management.
Yes, ma'am.
And NCIPM provides an interface between research, development, and application of IPM technologies for the minimization of crop losses due to pest.
Yes.
So promotion of IPM, zero budget farming, and usage of biopesticides is gaining momentum.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell our participants.
Yeah.
Please tell our participants more about IPM and how they can adopt the same for an enhanced crop and ecological health and sustainable agricultural growth.
Good morning to everyone, sir. I am Dr. Narayan Bhatt from National Center for Integrated Pest Management, as was told by our madam. So, we are basically in the first in the country as an ICR institute to deal exclusively on integrated pest management that takes care of all available resources. And we mostly see into biological, cultural, physical mode of control. And as a last resort, we go into chemical or pesticide-based method of control. But anyway, pesticides are must and part of our day-to-day pest management. We cannot go or we cannot live without pesticides. Pesticides are part of our management strategy. Just like our human beings, for any kind of diseases, we go to doctor and we get prescription and get the medicines and all. But here also, our intention is to reduce the pesticide load at least by 50%, depending upon the crop and depending upon. See, in the beginning, say before 10 years, we were venturing on IPM synthesis, validation, and demonstration of trials on a small scale, that is about 10 to 20 hectares. But during last 10 years, you might have heard about some of the programs like CropSap and HotSap, which are crop is exclusive for the field crops, dealing with the major diseases and pests of the local crops on a large scale. Today, if you see, CropSap is running in around more than 1 million hectares across the crops, be it cotton, rice, chickpea, pigeon pea, and every year they are adding 1 or 2 crops. Similarly, HotSap is also initially started with the fruit crops. Now, again, this year they've added vegetables. What I want to say is, as told by our previous panelists, various kinds of lacuna or shortcomings. Either we are not getting the right kind of message going to farmers. So our main intention is to, so in this large scale projects, even recently we have got e-pest surveillance, that is in vegetables exclusively for Haryana. It is for 6 major vegetable crops in Haryana, including one fruit crop is also quinoa. Quinoa is also included in that. Here, main objective actually, just I think Dr. Pratik Sanjay sir was telling about, he started with how to connect with the people, how to educate the farmers. Here I want to say that NCIPM is actively and exclusively involved in educating the farmers, especially the diagnosis aspect. Where we missing the link is farmers are not able to diagnose the disease, be it damping of even aphids, mites, white fly, or thrips, which are vectors diseases, even blights, anthracnose, the heavy crop destroyer like late blight or even down mildews. They are not able to identify. The point is, if farmers themselves are able to identify these major diseases, depending upon a disease crop, it is fine that at least they will not be cheated by the so-called traders or retail shops, because they are very confident that, for example, I'm telling you a little bit of late blight of tomato and potato. Recently, what happened this year and last year also, because of the unseasonal rains, even in the month of April and May, there was heavy incidence of late blight. But farmers, because of their mindset of the past years of experience, they used to spray continuously either Zineb or copper-based or even Mancozeb. These things will work only at the beginning of the diseases, and they used to spray even Bavestin, that is carbendazim, which is not at all meant for late blight of potato. It is basically for the anthracnose and early blight also you can spray. So wrong selection of the pesticides is also adding to the, we are not able to control the diseases, and we are adding the pesticide load in this one. So educating farmers is very important. That is what we are doing. We are first, even though we are not able to sometimes directly train the farmers, through Scout. First, we train the scouts. We are engaged for this kind of mega projects at various locations across the various districts and various talukas of the state. So by training the this pest scouts, they will be passing on those knowledge to the farmers. And it is a real-time based pesticide advisory where scouts will be recording the data in the fixed weeks, and the data will come to the experts through interface, that is electronic based your ICT mode. It comes to the main server, and based on the ETL, we'll give continuous advisories. For example, here advisory means we'll be going for advisories very judiciously. Mostly we'll be going for neem. For example, to quote a small example, as a preventive way, we'll be mostly going for neem-based pesticides for sucking pests, fruit borers and all. And based on the ETL and level of incidence and severity, we will go for selective and the relevant pesticides meant for that particular pest. We are recommending it so that farmers are able to they are able to reduce pesticide load, and they are able to reduce pesticide load by at least 50%. Suppose, for example, in the entire season for bindi or chili, we have seen in Guntur and all, farmers are going for 50 rounds of pesticide spray. But through IPM, we can intelligently come down to at least 10 to 15 rounds of spray only. So we are saving the environment, we are saving the economy, at the same time we are boosting the crop yield also. And but having said this, there are some 2-3 very, very pertinent problem here, especially for soil-borne diseases. For soil-borne diseases, we are recommending academically trichoderma and all these things, but unfortunately we are not getting the quality products. So our main intention is to urge the concerned policy makers or the concerned persons to provide and make it mandatory to apply trichoderma or Pseudomonas fluorescens or the relevant biocontrol agents to produce in large quantity and in good quality to the needy farmers. So if we are able to, even pheromone traps for that matter, pheromone trap is number one, is a very good strategy for managing many of the defoliators, and even lures are available. For example, for managing the fruit fly, fruit borer, and fruit borer is a major problem in vegetables. So what I request is we have to have this availability of gadgets, even light traps and biocontrol agents in large quantity, and make it a compulsory by default. Farmers have to be told to apply these things through well-rotten FOM at the beginning of the season, and make it mandatory for soil-borne diseases. It will not only control the soil-borne diseases, it will improve overall health of the soil, flora and fauna. So it is my request that these things are taken very serious thought on these things. And last but not the least, one point I will add, I will not take much time. Especially, last point only, we are still dealing with the old products like, of course, they are very effective, like Mancozeb and say Acifate, say Roger. All these kinds are having label claim for most of the vegetable crops, which are outdated, except this carbendazim, Mancozeb, Acifate, and the so-called Roger and this. Of course, they are very cheap and all. But recent reports say that they have got a lot of environmental pollution-making elements. So our request is to go for alternative and provide some new label claim pesticides. These are some of the points which came to my mind. I just put in front of our parents. Thank you.
Wonderful,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you for sharing these wonderful points with our attendees today. So now I have Mr. Mukesh Shukla. Mukesh Shukla ji is Campaign Manager, Central India, Syngenta India Limited. So Mukesh ji, I believe you have a presentation to show. Yeah. So Vivek, could you please upload the presentation? And Mukesh ji, you will be getting the access to run the presentation.
Right. So you're getting my presentation on the screen?
Yes, sir. We are getting
Yeah.
your presentation. So here it starts.
First of all, thank you very much for having me here on this webinar. And many congratulations to AgroVision Foundation for conducting a webinar on a very fascinating and a very big subject. This is a very broad subject. So if you talk about management of pesticides in agriculture, let's start with the seed care, which is a must. I will touch upon quickly on next slide. And it also involves insecticide, pesticide, fungicide, herbicide, and plant health solutions. And the upcoming area in the pesticide management is the value chain. Value chain is the companies where they are directly connecting with the farmers and taking produce and packing it and selling it to the directly to the targeted customer. So I'll touch upon quickly. It's a run through subject. Sorry for any fast delivery of my lecture. So the purpose of today's call, what I'm looking forward is farmer should get the best delivery of his crop. That's a must. Second, what I'm expecting is we should have a very clear strategy of pesticide management. And third output which I'm looking forward is complete understanding of the crop solutions on the different crops available in India. And outcome which I'm looking forward is farmer should have a profitable farming. In a profitable manner, he should grow the farming. Now, if you take the overall canvas of the agriculture, we have to look into a directive perspective. So there are 10 directives which I can think of to manage the pesticide in agriculture. One is seed care. Seed care is ultimately very important because it is a targeted applied insecticide or pesticide on the seed cover, and it is very low in doses. So we must focus on this area. Government should also focus on this seed care part, and new product introduction because of lengthy and very multi-location trial and toxicological data. New product introduction is very slow in India, so we have to put this on a fast track. And second is we need to really go into a low CP uses where crop protections are low uses are there. We need to go as an industry, go as a all as a responsibility, go to the farmer and allow them to use, encourage them to use the product in a low CP crop production uses area. The third area which I'm looking forward is we should have a crop program. We should have a crop program for cotton, rice, and wheat, and many other crops. So crop program is nothing but an end-to-end solution. Seed, then stage-wise application on different stages. So that solve a lot of problems of duplication of pesticide AI load on the crop. So this crop program is must to have in the place for the on the farmer front. Now, vegetable is grown in a very different scenarios. It's also grown in a shade net, poly houses, and drip and non-drip area. So we need to have a very customized solution for them, and they should have a very profitable kind of protocol for pesticide application. Fifth is diversification of the project, project sort of thing where we should really penetrate unrepresented market of India and undeveloped market of India, where we should go and educate the people. So this is how we can manage the pesticide growth story in India. As you see, the comparatively internationally, we are consuming very less pesticide. Third is planning and execution. It has a critical role to play. Pre-season, we need to really connect with the grower. During the season, with the crop on the ground, we need to travel with the crop and suggest, like other many participants have spoken about. And we also educate the farmer about the post-season, because post-season farmer, how he had got the result of the entire pesticide for delivery of the best crop. And the third is channel management, where a lot of dealers engagement is required. He brings product to the farmer, and from storage to the sale to the application technology to the doses, we need to really focus on channel management. And another eighth area which I'm looking forward is a lot of collaboration is required between government and non-government and pesticide companies to have a memorandum in the place. And the ninth is we should have a best talent in the place, and this talent will help to drive this pesticide business or pesticide application for the farmer for the best efficacy. And the last is not least is we should have a passion and energy. This is lacking. And one high level guidance is we should focus on knowledge, solution selling, not individual product or brand selling. This will give us a lot of chance to satisfy farmer in all the capacities of his aspiration to have a better yield. And second is old chemistries. India is using 60% of the old chemistry, which is not good as a industry. It's not a healthy sign. We should have a lot of new brands for the farmer to sow to get the better crop. And the counterfeit is an area which I don't want to touch upon. It's an industry issue. And let's talk about this seed care. Seed care is very, very important because it gives a clear value to the customer. It gives you good emergence of the seed, and it is having a very precise efficacy on the crop, and it is highly targeted. If you apply a neonicotinoid chemistry on the seed, it will target only sucking pest and gives a very good crop growth. So we need to have a low rate of soil polluting insecticide. This is a seed care is a very must. Government must focus very aggressively on this front, that every farmer should go for a seed treatment before he put the seed into soil. And the next is one of the panelists has already spoken about. See, product which dealer sell or companies sell to the dealer or to the farmer has a 50% role to play. 50% is a calibration of the pump, spray pump, nozzles. It has to have a very proper time of application. Nozzle selection is very important. Optimum coverage is must have. If you don't have optimum coverage, it has nothing. You will see the runoff of the pesticide from the leaf. The third is, if you are having a hollow cone nozzle, that's great. If you are using a STP pump, use an Italian gun, which will give you a micron size of 18 droplet. 18 droplet micron size is ultimately important for having a good spray of pesticide, and for herbicide we need to have a 200 micron. So that kind of clear differentiation should be done at the grower level through education. So on farm, before farm, and after the farm, we should have a different strategy to reach out for education. So that's a must to have. And the 5 golden rule, we should always encourage farmers to use the green, blue. Yellow is a little bit, we should discourage, but it's a good one to have in a portfolio for using for the farmer. Red we should avoid. And whenever farmer go for after application to his house, he should take care that he should bath properly and dispose of all the container in a systematic manner. And the first is, if we talk about, there is a 3 category. One is insect, disease, and poor health of the crop. So these 3 segments, farmers are using all over the India almost 30,000 crore rupees pesticide in India, if you talk about the market size. So precisely if you talk about insects, for caterpillar control, farmers are spraying huge money. There are various kind of caterpillar comes from the crop and farmers go for a spray. There are new brands are available, new categories are available, from cheaper to the high-end chemistries are available. So choosing the right kind of brand is a must to have in the farmers for the farmers' benefit. For sucking pest, there are very, very high potency and high low doses and high result-oriented chemistries are available for Jacid, Safid, thrips, and other kind of pest. So thrips is the industry gap. So no company is having a thrips solution. Till 2023, possibly the industry may come up for the thrips solutions. So this is all about insects and diseases. We need to have a prophylactic application. Why prophylactic application is required? Because farmers apply pesticide after when the secondary infection come on the crop and he go to a shop and buy the product and spray. So that's not the rule. The rule is he should apply when the primary infection is seen on the leaf or on the plant. So that's the rule. We need to go prophylactically. This is the education part. We as an industry partner, we as an industry, we need to really educate to the grower, and that's must to have. Another important thing is fungus control is our responsibility. For different kind of sucking pest, shaving pest, and mining pest, and soil borne pest, there are different solutions are available. For each one of the insects, there are n number of molecules are available. You need to choose best of the best. And that's where the role of a dealer, role of a industry, role of a education, role of a extension worker come into picture. So this is how. Now, way forward, as a India, we need to have a model farm where we should create a model farm in the villages and ask farmer to adopt protocol-based application. And once he see and believe the kind of protocol we apply on his in the village, and when he learn, so that kind of model farm is expected to be pan-India wise to grow the systematic uses of pesticide in a better manner. We also see how farmers should store the pesticide in the house. It should be logged. It should have marking on the ground on his go down, and he should also safely dispose of all the containers because it carries lot of residues. So it's our duty to have plant protection equipment along with the PPE kits to be supplied to farmers so that his life should be at a minimal risk, and we should have a great futuristic farming. And important thing is the value chain. Most of the companies, I don't want to take a name in the interest of because most of the companies are buying from the produce from farmer, selling it to the farmer. If you go to the mall, there are different kinds of brands are available. So those brands are produced from the farmer, and they are creating a value for farmer as well as for the companies. So these kind of they require different kind of approaches. The kind of low kind of pesticide residues, MRL value should be low, and there are exports opportunity in India. So this value chain is must to have, and we should, as an industry partner, we should jointly work hand with many companies working in a rice, working in a wheat, working in a vegetables. So value chain companies are very, very important. And this is a new pest, completely new pest in India. This is a fall RV1. This requires special attention from the industry because this is a pest. Normally, the small caterpillar eat a lot, and when the caterpillar grows in a 6, 7 star, 5th star, it goes slow in eating. But this caterpillar is very notorious. It keep on eating at all the stages and very difficult to control. And we need to have a protocol-based, community-based approach to control this. This is a very devastating pest on corn, and you may see this crop is catching up on all the crops possible in India. It's a very, very dangerous pest. So we need to be very alert about this. And now I just quickly touch upon after COVID, our farmer life is changed. You and my life is changed. We can't move freely like we were moving into COVID. So what is the suggestion for farmer for me is, from my side, is they should create a brand. Now there is a Google Pay is available, or any payment gateways are available. Farmer can sell a product to a big societies. Like I'm staying in a society where 10,000 people are staying together. So farmer can come and sell their product here, and they can take the money from the Google Pay, or they can sell it to a mall, or they can go to a tier 2, tier 1, tier 3 cities, and they can sell their brand. What they should do, they should go and pack their produce in a very nicely packed packaging should be done. There is a companies available to service the farmer on a packaging front, and branding solutions are available from the market. So they should go for a branding. Branding, what farmer will get out of that? They will get more value. Suppose if you go and buy shoes, if it's a signature of Nike is there, you say it's a Nike shoe. If you remove the Nike shoe, Nike symbol on the shoe, and if you keep it in front of the temple, you don't identify which is a Nike shoe. So you need to put a brand. So brand is give a lot of promise of quality, trust, and farmer get a lot of reputation of purchase from the same farmer, and a lot of end consumer, like I'm staying in a big society, so farmer, I can adopt a farmer from a certain village. So this is go to market for postcode for the farmer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such informative presentation, talking about the brand and how to market the product. That's again very, informative. So thank you for sharing your views. So I can see a lot of questions, around 62 questions have been posted on the chat window. So I'll just quickly ask one or two questions from our panelists, then we'll move on to the question and answer session. So, sir, Dr. Sharma, you have heard that the pesticide management bill has just been approved. So do you have any comments on punishment clauses in the new pesticide management bill? You need to unmute yourself, sir. Do you have any comments?
I only will it should be implemented in that.
Okay, I think there is some technical issue. Mr. Bhatt, the government has been working with farmers and guiding them about the usage of pesticides. Like our other panelists told us that, there is a, dealer, conversation happens with the farmer and the, the end product user. So, agriculture researchers says that farmers rely heavily on the dealers who blindly provide a standard set of inputs. This is not based on the actual need, but, it's given without even verifying if there is a pest attack or whether that much of input are required. So often farmers were caused with the use of pesticides in wrong combinations. I'm sorry?
That's why a qualified person should be interacting with the farmer at the daily level to information from the farmers as to what kind of pest problem is there, so that he can recommend them the right kind of a pesticide and advise them on the right kind of application equipment, the dosage and the time of application. So I think that implementation of that clause, graduates should be.
So Sharma, there is a lot of background noise coming from your side and your voice is also breaking. So if you could just...
There is no noise in my room, but what I said is that...
Can you please mute Dr. Sharma?
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Shukla. Please unmute yourself.
I talk positive as well as negative from in the channel perspective. See, there is a symbiotic relation between farmer and a dealer. In India, a lot of credit credit buying is happening on the farmer front because of the finance investment is done by the dealer, and the farmer buys on a credit. So sometimes dealer can take advantage of providing a wrong solution, but now a situation is very different. Farmers are heavily educated and they are choosing a right solution and asking by a brand name, and they are really buying a very correct solution. But by and large, this is a problem available because credit is a big inevitable part of agriculture, because 30,000 crore rupees pesticide, ma'am, can you imagine? Who will support? The dealer who has, serviced the farmer from last 100 years, you can't blame him. So I'm no doubt there are good part and bad part of both the sides of the coin. but there are good people, good dealers. We need to have a right marriages with the right perspective. And for the farmer suggestion is you should ask by brand name. What do you call misleading supply of the inputs. So that's the solution. Thank you. And next question. Any next question?
So, Vivek, could you please unmute Dr. Mukesh Dhillon? He is from ICAR Pusa Institute.
Okay, unmuting.
Dr. Dhillon, can you please introduce yourself and ask a question?
Good afternoon to all the learned panelists and Vibha. I am from Indian Agriculture Research Institute, Pusa, as a principal scientist entomology. Are you able to hear?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
My simple question is, we are only managing the pesticides, right? With this pesticide management bill. In this context, we are only looking at one area where which insecticides we can ban, which insecticides probably can continue for a certain period of time, but without looking at the alternatives, right? Without leaving or without giving the farmers any options available with them after the ban of certain pesticides, which are probably effective or in certain cropping systems, those are the only options. So in that case, we are leaving the farmers unarmed. Second thing is, when we are talking about the pesticides, then we don't have any clear national or regional plant protection policy in place, because there are lot more confusion. I'm doing the organic farming, I'm doing the IPM farming, I'm doing the this farming, that farming, and a lot of confusion is there. So only managing the pesticides is not going to help farmers in certain cropping systems. So we need to have a clear-cut policy, regional or micro level policies, that this particular region will be pesticide free, this region will have these kind of problems, so for that this particular insecticides or package of pest management will be implemented. So these kind of things are really important before looking at the pesticide management bill. We need to have a certain pest management policy, either regional or national, whatever it could be. So thank you.
Thank you for your suggestion, sir. So please help me unmute Dr. Gopal Marti Golwankar, please. Dr. Gopal, can you hear me? Dr. Gopal?
Dr. Gopal?
Yes, Dr. Gopal Maruti. If you can now unmute Mr. Narayan Upadhyay. Narayan Upadhyay.
Thank you everyone. I mean, thanks for organizing this webinar.
Mr. Upadhyay, please yourself and ask my question.
Yes, I think I put my questions on chat. So it's a very interesting subject. A lot of things to be discussed. Brainstorming session has to happen like this. Now and then, there are both the pros and cons, which we are facing at real life situation.
What is your question?
Questions already have entered on the chat. Sorry.
Okay,
there are
wonderful.
Too many questions. So yeah,
yes,
thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you please unmute Mr. Prakash Kumar? Mr. Ash Kumar, can you hear me? Mr.
Prakash Kumar is on mute.
Mr. Prakash, can you hear me? Okay. Then maybe we can try Mr. Shailesh Shah. He has posted many questions. Mr. Shah. Shailesh Shah. Mr.
Shailesh
Shah.
is on mute.
Please introduce yourself. Dr. Shah, please introduce yourself and ask your question quickly.
હા ભાઈ આપણને શું છે કે ચોખાની ઇન્ક્વાયરી આવે ચોખા આપણો ધંધો નથી.
Please mute. I think he's on some other call. So there are so many questions. I believe participants are now paying attention. Professor Pradeep M. Bagde. Professor Pradeep. Professor Pradeep, can you hear me?
Dr. Pradeep is on mute.
Professor Pradeep.
Professor Pradeep.
Okay, I think.
Hello.
Yes, Professor Pradeep, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Please introduce yourself and ask a question quickly.
Okay, ma'am. Myself, Professor Pradeep Madhukar Bagade. Basically, I'm basically belong from Buldana, Vidarbha region. Okay, my question is, most of the farmer are unaware regarding the most of the insecticide pesticides are banned. 27s are banned for the how the company are work for the farmer, how they suggest for the farmer.
You want to ask about the pesticides which are banned, and you want companies to tell you how they can be guided on the banned pesticides?
Yes, ma'am.
So what would you like to take the question? Could you please unmute yourself first? Yes, would you like to take this question?
Yeah, can you please repeat the question?
Professor Pradeep? Okay, he wants to ask that there are a lot of banned pesticides, and he wants to know how a company like yours can.
Listen, first of all, the pesticides which are under banning are have been used in this country for the last so many years. अभी तक कुछ भी इसका वो नहीं है कि जो भी banning का हुआ है, that is totally on the basis of unscientific background. There is no scientific background behind this banning. They have taken the decision in a very hurry manner. So which still all the association, whether it is CCFI or PMFI, all the association are putting all the pressures, and because in most of the cases, 90% of the data has already been given to the government, which they have asked. Only 10 to 15% data still the industry has to submit, for which another 2 to 3 months time will take. And so most probably all these products will still be available to the farmers, because all these products are the best products available to the farmer at a very cheaper price. So today our Indian farmer is not a farmer like a European farmer who gets the price for his produce at a very high price. Here in India, the system is just opposite. हमारे यहाँ पे फार्मर का जो प्रोड्यूस है वो तो बहुत सस्ता खरीदा जाता है और कंज्यूमर को बहुत ऊंचे रेट पे पहुंचता है. जो बीच में जो चैनल है वो अल्टीमेटली उसका प्रॉफिट लेता है. बट इन यूरोपियन कंट्रीज दे बाय द प्रोड्यूस फ्रॉम द फार्मर एट ए वेरी हाई प्राइस एंड सप्लाई टू द कंज्यूमर एट ए चीपर प्राइस. तो यहाँ पे फार्मर्स को जो जरूरत है वो बहुत इकोनॉमिकल सोल्यूशन की जरूरत है, जो ये ऑलरेडी जितने प्रोडक्ट्स हैं अंडर बैनिंग में ये प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं. वट एवर सोल्यूशन विच आर अवेलेबल, वट आर द रिप्लेसमेंट विच आर अवेलेबल, दे आर एट ए वेरी हाई प्राइस. So ultimately farmer will be needing all these products, and most probably government of India will take a very wise decision. So let's see, in another few days the decision will come. So what I hope all these products will be available to the farmers, so farmers should not worry about the substitute or about the other after banning these products. I don't feel these products will be good.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. A lot of people are like writing to me so that, I can unmute themselves and ask so that they can ask questions. So please pay attention when I call your name. So I'll take last two questions. So could you please unmute Chennam Setti V. Ramarao quickly?
Chennam Setti is unmute.
Yes, please introduce yourself and ask your questions. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, see, a lot of farmers, they go directly to the pesticide dealers, not to any scientist or any extension worker for the agro advisory. So how to contain this one? See,
I think we just answered these questions to Mr. Shukla. Just answered this question.
Yeah, actually the dealers, particularly in Andhra Pradesh, they give at least 3 to 4 insecticides for a single pest. So people are spending more than 2,000 for a 2 to 3,000 for a single spray.
Excuse me.
So would you like to answer this again? Because I believe you've already answered it once.
Yeah, I just quickly wanted to touch from Mr. Bagre from Buldana and from Chennamma Reddy from this Andhra Pradesh. See, the only one solution is in the scenario is there will be a disruption of the supply chain from the industry side if the government ban. So that is not going to happen because industry is also pushing. And these are the brands which are useful for the farmers. Dr. Vasu very clearly explained to you how it is important to the grower because it's all cheap chemistry and cheaper solution to the grower. And from the farmer perspective, only one solution is he should go to a dealer and ask buy a brand name, number one, and always buy it on a cash. So that he may have a lot of leverage to have a right solution and right kind of pesticide for his crop. And always stay connected with industry people, agriculture officers, universities, and read a lot of refer a lot of YouTube channels available now, and keep update himself. That's the only way out to get cheated. So it's our personal responsibility. And most of the BSc Agri students are now in the they are in the business and they are really providing a good solution. So you need to have a right kind of pesticide dealer with you for a journey to grow a crop. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll take last question. One last question is from Mr. Ravinder Reddy. Mr. Ravinder Reddy.
Hello.
Reddy.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, please ask your question quickly.
Yeah. Good afternoon to all. I am Dr. Ravinder Reddy, poultry consultant.
Yes, sir.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please ask your question.
Yeah. So we have I have two questions. One is that regarding the GM seed, because all Western countries are using GM seed, they are getting good yield. So farmer is benefited. At the same time, they are able to purchase maize and soya at very low cost, as low as 50% of the Indian raw material cost. Why are we not allowing GM seed? On contrary, we are using the GM seed byproducts which are imported from USA and other countries. Second question is regarding the production of organic chicken. Often our customers ask us how to produce organic chicken in India. And you know that we feed 60% cereals and 25% oil seeds to our chickens. So unless you give some assurance, is anybody who is able to give us near organic or organic raw materials for the chicken feeding?
Well, thank you. Would you like to take your questions? Who would like to take this question? Dr. Sharma?
Deva, I can take this question.
Yes, please.
The government of India should leave the decision to deregulate or commercialize the transgenic crops to the scientific statutory bodies. It should not become a political decision. So long we take decisions that are science-based in the interest of the farmers and in the interest of the consumers and the interest of the country, I think we will march ahead. If we make a mountain of the molehill, because all the noise made about the biosafety of the transgenic crops is by the people who don't understand genetics and biotechnology. So I think they should not be given any credence. It is the scientists, the scientific data, and the scientific decision which should be the basis of commercialization of transgenic crops. And I think we should not be delaying it. If the more we delay, the more harm will cause to the environment, to the farmers, and a loss to the nation. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, absolutely, sir. Thank you for answering this question. So, like I said in the beginning, there are a few more questions that we just cannot take because we are running out of time. So we will be coming back to you again with all the inputs from our panelists. So now I would like to request Mr. Ravi Baratkar. So Mr. Baratkar is the president of AgroVision Foundation, and he would like to now give the closing remarks. Mr. Baratkar.
Yeah, thank you. A sincere thanks from AgroVision and AgriSpectrum. We had a wonderful discussions today, and I'm sure there was a concern about the coming bill and the items to be banned. But yes, we all seems to be hopeful that perhaps the better sense will prevail and all products may not be banned and farmers may not be put at the risk. Having said so, I really thank each of the panelists, Dr. Harichand Sharma, Mr. Mukesh Shukla, Mr. Sanjay Vats, and Dr. Aman Bhatt for your very positive, optimistic, and covering almost all the topics, including pest management, application, policy about the bill, and what are the safety procedures which farmers should follow. And I think the question which we had was also on a good note that let the scientific this thing prevail, maybe for pest management or maybe for the genetically modified seeds we are talking about. So on this very positive note, I think we should conclude our discussion. And once again, a really heartfelt thanks to all the distinguished panelists and also all the attendees joining here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.